All right, man, getting to preach in a boxing ring. How cool is this? You gotta love this church. Hey, can you join me in welcoming all of our campuses? Temple Terrace, Waters, Ybor, everyone online, we are glad that you are with us. And again, what a cool deal this is, getting to do this in a ring. And I have to tell you though, some people probably are wondering what's the deal with this series. You see the ring, you see all the things going on, you go, I don't know, it's just a little masculine. So it's a little you kind of get that vibe. But I just want you to know, we're a church that's not afraid to challenge and speak to everyone, but we're certainly not afraid of challenging men. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, church is not usually a place where men feel comfortable. Okay? They come and it's a place of Sunday school and choirs and nurseries and quilting clubs and ladies' teas, right? And they have to come and they have to be well-mannered. You have to be quiet. You don't even get to cuss. I mean, there's just things like that. The church music typically, right, it's always kind of slow. Feels like you're at a funeral home. And it's just, church traditionally for guys, it's just a real stuffy place full of stiff people. And you just can't wait to get home and watch football, right? I mean, that's just kind of how it is for guys. But I happen to believe that if God can change a man's heart, a lot of good things can happen. I happen to believe that if a man is challenged to step up and be a real man, that everybody benefits. I believe that wives benefit when men are great husbands. I believe children benefit when men are great fathers. I believe society benefits when men work hard and live lives of honor. So we're going to speak to everyone in this series. Don't feel left out. But all I got to say is, ladies, if you got a man that ain't coming to church, this is the time. This is the place, okay? Now, most of us live in two worlds, and that's kind of our struggle. We have life at home and life at work. And some of you work at home, so you experience it all in one place. Kind of crazy, right? But we all have these two lives at home and at work. And part of the challenge of that is you want to succeed at both. And it feels impossible to do that, right? Because it feels like a seesaw. The more energy you put into life at home, then, life at work starts to suffer and vice versa. And, the more you focus on work, the more home suffers. Those kind of things happen. It really feels impossible. I mean, I want to be a great parent at home. I want to be a great spouse at home. But I also want to be successful at work. I want to get that promotion, right? I want to make more, move up, do those kind of things. And so the more we focus on one, though, it seems like the other one loses. And we kind of get in this battle where we just wish we could just be successful at both. But it feels very impossible. And what I want to do is I believe that I can give you something today that will improve both. Now, I'm not promising to make you the best parent. I'm not promising to make you the best employee or whatever, but I think that if you do these things, this will make you better at both. Just get better at it. Not the best, but maybe get better at it. Because sometimes it's not about sweeping changes that make a difference in our lives. It's about winning the small battles that makes a change. And so we're talking about winning these small battles. And so what I want to do today is I want to give you a double-edged sword. This thing is really sharp. Ow. All right, so I want to give you a double-edged sword. Because one side of the sword, I want to give you something that, again, is going to help everyone at home and at work. If you've ever wanted to try to get better at both, I think this will help you. But on the other side of this sword, I believe that what I'm about to tell you is going to cause conflict for men. I think it's actually going to cause some conflict with what we think of when we think of a man, the assumptions that we make, the stereotypes that we have of men. So again, I'm going to give you a blade that's going to cut both ways. It's going to have applications for everyone, but for a man, there's a very specific challenge. And I didn't cut my arm off. All right, great. I wonder who had that. Anyway, you ask for a sword and that shows up and you're like, where did that come from? Anyway, so that's all you want to know. Now I want to discuss this for a second because some of you are like, what do you mean for a guy this is going to cause a conflict? I think there's a special challenge with these principles because I want you to think about this. Think about the phrase, be a man. Be a man. What does that mean? Be a manly man. You think about manly men. When I think about in our culture, the manly man he's tough. He never cries. He never says much. He can hold a lot of liquor. He can do a lot of push-ups. He's great at sex, can win a fist fight. And after telling a fascinating story, he always looks at the camera and says, "Stay thirsty, my friends." Right? Is that what you think of? Kind of just a masculine, manly man, right? And that's our definition of masculinity. That's kind of what we've bought into. The only problem is that is a super impossible, borderline ridiculous standard. Because the thing is, that man may be great at being manly, but you don't want to be his kid, and you certainly don't want to be his wife. Because he's active in his hobbies, but he's passive in his marriage. And he's checked in at work, but he's checked out at home. And you got to think about that. I do think that when we think about manhood and being a man, I want to come in and just challenge that a little bit. I want to challenge what our real man kind of looks like there a little bit. Because I do think I want to introduce a new challenger to the ring, so to speak. A new definition of manhood that I think will help play into what we're going to talk about here. I love author Robert Lewis. He has this definition. It's in your notes. And he says, a real man rejects passivity, accepts responsibility, leads courageously, and expects God's greater reward. There's something about that I really like, that a man rejects being passive, he owns the responsibility, and he leads with strength. And I want everyone to hear this. I think one of the greatest enemies of men is passivity. Just being passive. Being passive means I'm present, but I'm not participating. I'm on the couch, but I'm not interacting with anyone else, right? And here's the thing is, I think about this. Passive, the literal word means inactive. Not saying anything, not leading, not doing anything. Even if the problem is staring you right in the face, there's just nothing happening, inactive. When I think of passive guys, I always think of the story of Adam and Eve. Now, some of you may not be familiar with the scriptures, but you might know the story. It's one of the origin stories in Genesis. And what happens here is Satan talks through a serpent, and he convinces Adam and Eve to basically disobey God, and sin enters humanity, and all these things happen. So we've kind of heard a little bit of the story, but I just want to show you one verse, because that's just something very interesting here I want you to see. Genesis 3:6. The woman was convinced. She saw that the tree was beautiful and its fruit looked delicious, and she wanted the wisdom it would give her. So she took some of the fruit and ate it. Then she gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate it too. The whole time, this Satan is talking to Eve and trying to convince her to do this. He was standing there the whole time. Have you ever noticed when we tell this story, there's Eve and the snake, and then she turns around, and usually it's an apple. We don't know what it was. But and then she turns around, and all of a sudden, Adam magically shows up, like he's been off stage. He's like, "Hey, guys, what's going on? Oh, fruit? Okay." No. He was there the whole time, watching the whole thing go down. He didn't say anything. He didn't do anything. And look what happened. He didn't do anything. I mean, there was nothing happening. And I think there's consequences to a passive man. Men, I want to say something to you. Get rid of passivity in your life. Reject it. Get rid of it. There's nothing noble about it. There's nothing strong about it. There's nothing manly about standing there instead of standing up. An active man, a man who leads, protects his family, but a passive man will stand there and watch the house burn down. And so I'm just kind of telling you, as I think about this, in our culture, we expect men to be passive. Watch the sitcoms. All the dads are morons. I mean, they are. I mean, they're all morons. And I mean, that's the thing. And you watch that and you think, man, he's just kind of sitting there, and and there's always a smart, you're sort of thinking like, no, is this really how it is? I'm just being honest with you. We expect it, but I think a real man rejects it. I will not be passive. No one's attractive to a passive man. There's no woman out there who's just like, God, I wish he'd be more checked out. Oh, I hate when I talk to him and he talks back. It's so annoying. I just wish he would just be more inactive and just refuse to engage. That's what I'm looking for, a real passive guy. That's not out there. I'm going to be honest with you. Being a man and being passive are opposites. Those are opposite things. So what does a man look like, and where in that definition is practical applications for all of us? Let's dig in. Let me show you a verse that scared the bejesus out of me this week. 1 Peter 3:7. In the same way, you husbands must give honor to your wives. Treat your wife with understanding as you live together. She may be weaker than you are, but she's your equal partner in God's gift of new life. Treat her as you should, so your prayers will not be hindered. Ooh. I don't know how I've read that before, but missed that part. And that's a scary thing, man. I mean, let's dig into this a little bit, right? So a man is supposed to give honor to his wife, treat her with understanding, and even though she may be smaller than he is, maybe she can't bench what he can bench, his deal is to say, listen, I want to make sure that you understand that we are equal partners in this deal. His job is to make sure that she understands that she is that equal partner. And then there's this bold warning at the end there that scares men. That says that the way you talk to your wife affects how God talks to you. Woo! God will not move on your behalf if you mistreat your better half. And that is just something to think about. Now, before you guys leave, I know some of you are squirming, you're sweating, I can see it. I just want you to see from this passage, I want to give you your first blank here, that being a man means, again, giving honor to your wife. And I really want to talk about this first one for a little bit. Giving honor, we learned from that last passage, treating your wife with understanding, not putting yourself above her, but treating her as your equal. And I want to make sure we get this picture of honor, and then I'm going to share some thoughts for those of you who are not men and not married. Okay, and dig into this. So let's look at one more. Ephesians 5:22 through 28. Here comes the controversy. Let's dig in. Here we go. Verse 22, wives, understand and support your husbands in ways that show your support for Christ. The husband provides leadership to his wife the way Christ does to his church, not by domineering, but by cherishing. Now, I know we're getting into some not popular text here, okay? But I want to point out some things really quick and clarify some things real quick. First of all, leadership is not domination. This is what this passage is saying, that God says, listen, I want you to lead like Christ leads. If a guy's going to lead, the only way to lead is to lead like Jesus, not lead as you see fit. It's not about dominating, it's about cherishing. And see, and again, how a man gives honor to his wife is how he loves her, how he cares for her. Now I want you to catch this. Men, I think, no man hears the word cherish and gets excited. I want you to cherish her. All right. You know why we don't like the word cherish? Because we get cherish and lavish confused. We think cherishing is lavishing. We get these two words confused. Let me just separate those two words for you. Lavishing is when you're showing excessive affection towards someone. We've all seen those couples, right? They're not going to make it. You know what I'm saying? These couples are always like, oh, and you're just like, oh, man. 2 weeks, right? And the Bible's not saying, go to Nordstrom and blow it all. Just do whatever. Go for it, man. Just lavish. No, that's not what it's saying. And this is where men get confused. They think cherish and lavish. No, they're not the same. Lavishing is excessive affection. Cherish is tender care for someone you love. Lavish is excessive. Cherish is basic and solid. And I just want you to see that, the difference between those two terms. Now let's keep reading. So just as the church submits to Christ as he exercises such leadership, Wives should likewise submit to their husbands. Now, let me pause right there. Here we go. Here's a real fight right here. Because people read this and go, nope, and slam the Bible. Going, I'm not doing it. We've come too far. It's not what this is saying, okay? Listen. I'm telling you, this is those kind of passages that people who don't know anything about the Bible try to use to paint the Bible like it's sexist or male chauvinistic. And here's all Paul's saying. This is it. And I think everybody can agree on this. Here it is. If a man is Christ-like to his wife, she has no problem following his lead when he leads. That's what it's saying. It's pretty easy. I don't know a lot of people who disagree with that. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, if he treats me with honor, then if he, I'll let him pick where to eat every once in a while. But here's the thing. I mean, when a man is not Christ-like but demands the lead anyway, we got a problem. He's hard to follow. That's it. It's not sexist, but let's move on. Verse 25. Husbands, go all out in your love for your wives, exactly as Christ did for the church. That's a lot of love, by the way, Christ for the church. You think about that. Keep moving. A love marked by giving, not getting. Christ's love makes the church whole. His words evoke her beauty. Everything he does and says is designed to bring the best out of her, dressing her in dazzling white silk, radiant with holiness. And that is how husbands ought to love their wives. This is my favorite part. They're really doing themselves a favor since they're already one in marriage. Hello. You got to love Paul right there, man. He's like, hey, fellas, listen, man. If you like that whole becoming one part, and I know that you do, you need to get with the whole becoming like Jesus part two, okay? It's going to help. I'm trying to help you fellas out. I love that part. It's just so real, man. It's like, hey, guys, I know you love that part, but you got to love this part too because it all works the same, okay? And, giving honor is about focusing on giving and not what you're getting. See, the problem with relationships is when you start to think about I wonder how our relationship is doing. How's our marriage doing? You immediately ask a stupid question. What am I getting out of it? What am I getting out of it? The question is, what are you putting into it? And when a man's looking at this, I hear people talk about, well, I'm just not getting anything from it. And I'm like, well, what are you putting in it? Because that's the $1 million question. You think about this. It's describing a kind of love from a man that makes a spouse feel whole, brings out the beauty in this woman. Can I get an amen from a lady that can hear my voice right now? Okay, thank you very much. All right, here's the thing. Now, I hear guys are like, man, that's hard work. You're getting crazy. You got in that boxing ring, you lost your mind, man. What's wrong with you? That is hard work. Did you know that's the definition of marriage? Hard work. That's my premarital counseling right there. Hard work. That's it. That's all my premarital counseling right there. I go, marriage is hard work. You have any questions? Because it's the hardest job I'm going to tell you, it's the hardest job you'll ever have. Because half the time you don't know what you're doing, and another half the time you're trying to figure out what the other person's doing. It's a hard job. And let me put it to you this way. Listen, marriage is more difficult when both sides don't want to budge and be like Christ. If one person is trying to do it, but the other person's like, no, it's hard work. It doesn't work. But when both sides are committed, it works. This is how God just said, listen, if both of you will commit to put the other one first, this works. But when it gets one-sided, it gets weird. Look at this passage, Ephesians 5:21. Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. I put you first because of my relationship with Jesus. That's what I do. I want to be like Jesus to you. We want to be like Jesus toward each other. And when a man doesn't give honor, he's hard to follow, and eventually he's hard to be around. You don't get to take the lead and not act like a leader. You cannot demand what you have not earned. And that's the whole thing. Somebody fell out. Anyway, here's the thing. But now, hang on a second. I got to talk to the ladies for a second because I got to turn this a little bit. Let me ask you a really hard question. Are you really willing to be led? That's a tough one. Because we cheer it on and go, yep, yep, yep. And I'm like, well, what about your part? Nope, 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 nope. Because if he makes changes, let's be honest, if he makes changes, will it make any difference? If he changes the way he treats you, would you consider changing the way you treat him? I'm telling you, I danced with this girl in high school one time. I didn't have a date, so I showed up stag, so I danced with everybody. And I danced with this girl, and she kept wanting to take the lead. And I'm trying to take the lead, and she's trying to take the lead, and my feet are hurting, and she's stomping on me, and I'm stomping on her. I eventually just had to quit. Because I just wanted to look at her and be like, you know what, if you have to be in the lead all the time, you can dance alone. And I think there's a principle there. Because here's the thing, we misinterpret it. The Bible doesn't say, hey, just wives submit. Just wives submit. No, no, no. It says both sides submit to each other, put each other first. Because here's the truth, a willingness to lead and a willingness to be led go together really well. Okay? All right. You can send me an email about that to I don't care, GFC. Anyway, so here's the thing. Now, one more thing before we move on, because I really want to clarify this for guys, because some guys hear this and go, I got it, Matt. Give an honor to your wife. I'm fired up. Let's do it. I'm going to make more time for my family. Let me stop you right there. Because guys do this all the time. They think, well, I'm going to take some more days off. I'm going to take a vacation. We're going to fix this. I'm going to make more time for my family. That's going to fix it. And that's what the default is. But I want you to catch this. I want you really, guys, I want you to hear this. Giving honor to your spouse is not a matter of time. It's a matter of treatment. Don't get it confused. We're not talking about how much time you're spending with your family. And that's great if you're spending good time with your family. I'm talking about how you treat your spouse. And that's the hard part about this. Now I want all the single guys to hear me. How you treat a woman is exactly how you're probably going to treat a wife. There's not some magic change when you get married where you become chivalrous. That doesn't happen. And the good news is, you don't have to be married to start giving honor to a woman. You can do it today. That's right. And that's the thing. You can start respecting her now. You can start cherishing her now. You can bring out the beauty in her today. You don't have to wait. You can start doing that today. Somebody's like, well, I don't have a girlfriend. Well, we'll get there. Come on now, just hang in there. Now, younger guys, students, just young guys that happen to be hearing this, I want you to know that every girl sees what the future would be like with you when they watch you talk to your mom. Treat your mom with honor. Get some early practice on this. It'll serve you well. There's no Bible verse that says, talk smack to your mom and you'll end up with somebody great. Nope, doesn't happen. And lastly, I want to talk to single ladies. I feel like Beyonce all of a sudden. Ladies, can I say something? Listen, can I just be real just for a second? Don't put up with any guy who won't treat you with honor. Don't do it. I am consistently and constantly amazed at the caliber of idiot that ladies put up with. And the thing is, if you, this is gonna sound weird, but if you want to be respected, dress respectable. Okay? Now, I'm not trying to sound like your grandma, but the twerking ain't working, okay? Like, stop it. Be respectable. Some of you older folks are like, what just happened? I'm just talking to listen to young folk. We're just having a little minute, okay? It's okay, listen. If you will look like a woman who respects herself, it's a lot easier to find a man who respects you. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Put on some clothes. All right, now, we got to move on. We got to move on. Because there's all kinds of sides to this, but I want to give you the second half of this, and this one's really quick, okay? Being a man means giving honor to your wife and being honorable at work. I want to talk about this. I want to switch from the world of home and talking about giving honor to your spouse. I want to move into being honorable at work. Again, this is for everyone, but I do think there are certain challenges for men in this that we should look at. Now, I want to look at this first passage. And some of you are going to hear this and go, what does this have to do with work? And I want to dig in and show you a few things. 1 Peter 2, 15 through 17. It is God's will that your honorable lives should silence those ignorant people who make foolish accusations against you. For you are free, yet you're God's slaves, so don't use your freedom as an excuse to do evil. Respect everyone, love the family of believers, fear God, and respect the king. Now I want to talk about this because honor carries over to work. And what Peter's saying here is saying that if you live honorably and you're committed to be a man of honor at work, you shut up your critics. And being a man of honor means that you don't take all the free, sometimes you get the freedoms and the perks and those kind of things happening. And it says here, don't let that be an excuse for doing something, evil. And what that's basically meaning here in work is don't take the freedoms you have as a leader and build something that only benefits you. Okay? Don't use all those freedom and those great things to bend that and not respect everyone. Have integrity. And I love the end. Respect everyone, fear God, and respect authority. Authority. And I want to think about that for a second, because having honor always results in having integrity. That's how businesses advertise themselves. We have integrity. You don't ever see a business advertise themselves, well, you're not going to, I don't know, I'm not sure about us. I mean, we're kind of sketchy. Having honor results in integrity. It's the way we conduct ourselves and the way we conduct our business. Respecting people when you don't have to respect them. Think about that. Making wise decisions behind closed doors, even though no one's ever going to know you made the call. It's about working under authority instead of always subtly working against it. Some of you can never put yourself under authority. You're always trying to topple whatever's ahead. And I'm telling you, God is not going to reward that. He is not going to reward that. Small choices that are going to make a huge difference. Now I want to show you one other picture of honor at work, probably one of my favorites, Colossians 3:23. In all the work you're doing, work the best you can. Work as if you were doing it for the Lord and not for people. There is nothing wrong with hard work. And I want you to know that the ultimate one in authority sees all of it. He sees the things that your boss doesn't see. He sees it all. Serving God and a job well done sometimes are one and the same. Because sometimes serving and honoring God, sometimes we do that by serving and honoring people. We are people of honor. And again, don't get tripped up on time. Oh, well, I'm going to put more time into it. I'm going to work more hours. That's what I'm going to do. No. It's about how you work. It's about how you conduct yourself. And this is a world where a man has to reject being passive again. Because passivity creeps its little head in there. Because let me tell you something. It's easy to grumble, but it's not easy to lead. Anybody can take inventory of what's wrong in an organization. But a man takes initiative to fix it. And you don't have to be told to do that. You don't have to be a certain rank or certain whatever to do that. You can lead from any position in an organization. That's the truth. You can lead from anywhere. And the thing is, you can lead with honor. And God helping you. You can lead it at work with honor, and you can lead at home with honor as well. Now, some people are pretty smart. They go, well, Matt, you gave two things, but really they're one thing. You talked about giving honor to your wife. You talked about being honorable at work, but really the whole thing was about honor. That's because I really believe that an attitude of honor will improve your life at home and improve your life at work. I really do believe in it. We live in a time where the very thing that we don't even have anymore is one of the things that we need the most, is honor. I seriously believe that God will help anyone repent of how they've treated their spouse and move forward. That God will help you turn from that and help you get better at that. I believe that anybody who resolves to say, listen, I want to be honorable at work. You know, I can think of times that I haven't been. I want a better reputation. I want to cultivate the right things. I believe that God will not only help you do it, but will reward you for doing it. I really do believe that God equips honor and he rewards it. Some of you, you've been teetering on this whole relationship with God thing, and you keep coming and you keep going, well, one day I'm going to just commit my life to Christ. One day I'm going to do it. And you need to do it. You need to honor God with your life. He gave it to you. Now honor him back with it. Accept the gift of Jesus that he's given you and move forward through forgiveness and the power of the Holy Spirit. Do it. You know? But I sincerely believe that a marriage can flourish when there's an attitude of honor in it. A job can flourish when an attitude of honor comes into play. We give honor and we live honor. We're giving honor at home and we're living honor out at work. And I believe that God, again, will not only show you how to do it, but I believe he will reward it. He will move in your life in a major way when you decide to give honor and to live honor. At this point, I'm going to invite our campus pastors up to close us out in prayer at our campuses.